Okay, hello everyone, and good morning on today, April the 29th. Welcome to Meticulous Talks. I am Chris of Course.
I'm solving problems.
And I'm Hifrog.
Yes, today we have a very special guest, our friend from Russia.
Yep.
It is evening for you already there, or?
It's 7 p.m. So it's not really evening, but it's getting there.
Getting there, yeah. Well, meanwhile, I just got up and solving is supper time for you, right, or something like that?
Yeah, I just got out of work from an early shift.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful kind of coordination we have now. But anyway, Hithrock, perhaps for people who are a little unfamiliar with you, can say a few words.
I'm not sure if I can say anything about myself. Like, I mostly play online. I do have a small local play group here, but the game is hard to acquire here, so it's kind of dying out. That's why I'm like pushing my enthusiasm towards the online play.
Mhm.
And I think a couple of people might know me from Coco.
I expect so. You've been a very active player in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I had the pleasure of commentating the BabsCon stream, Commentary's Magic stream, that is, with Hithrock last month or so, about a month or so ago. And yeah, I thought he would be an excellent perspective to bring on. So here we are.
Thank you.
Anyway, this month we're going to be this stream, we're going to be talking about commons, because I have noticed some good ones in core lately, which we'll get to right away. And every time that a set comes out, we talk about pre-release, we talk about spoilers. People tend to really focus on the shiny ultra rares, and after the set comes out, everyone's like, "Oh man, I need to get these ultra rares, yada yada yada." But there's a lot of power often in commons. They're not just pack filler. And so I thought, why not have a stream where we kind of round up some of the ones that we think are pretty good.
Cool.
Back with us?
My Discord did the thing where it it muted me without actually muting me, so I had to go away and come back. But anyway, as I was trying to say, I technically disagree with you now because they're no longer shiny ultra rares.
Okay, it's a good point. Can't say shiny
But
anymore.
it's kind of a late comeback comment there because of the whole.
No, it's a good point.
Well, they still do have a foil stamp, so that's some shine there.
They are shinier than other cards. It's good. That's correct. But the super rares aren't shiny anymore, that's for sure. Well, anyway, I know I was looking over you guys' picks, and we've got a pretty long list to get through if we get through all of them. So perhaps we should...
I mean, we don't have to use every honorable mention.
Yeah,
I guess.
Good point. So I imagine we'll just sort of keep on going through, and
I don't know. Should we see if we can go in some sort of in set order?
I suppose that works.
Too difficult with how we did the lists.
No, that's okay, I guess. I had Spike set up to go first, just because I think he was like the reason I wanted to do this. But we can.
I mean, if it's the inspiration for the list, you can start with that.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So I'll just throw him up here. There we go. So the Spike Festival Assistant, who's on screen now, was essentially the card that kind of inspired me to do this. I have been playing a lot of purple lately, who'd have thought? And at first, when I first saw this card come out for spoilers and stuff, I thought to myself, "Oh, that's a really efficient card. That's going to do well in purple aggro." And only lately have I realized, no, he actually just goes in everything. He's just stupidly good.
Yeah.
Functioning as the sort of the purple answer to control. To farming, being able to throw Applejack off the problems every turn. Like that's a position that used to be relegated to an ultra rare in Ursa Vanquisher, and now it's on a common. So that's that helps a lot for people who want to be able to play against that style.
It also is more cost efficient, just in general.
Mhm.
Initial investment of 3, and then only 2 to keep the main off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also has Traveler, which like it can get out of hand pretty quickly.
Indeed, yeah. It can still be useful for if you want to use it to confront problems or transition into an aggressive style, as you like. Although an interesting thing that was brought up to me by a friend recently is that it's sometimes useful to remember that Traveler is actually an optional trigger. Sometimes, if you're worried about a card like Food Fight or it's going to work, you can keep Spike at 2 if you want.
Yeah, that's true. But like I think it's 2 ends of the stick, because like there's also Nupcakes and other cards at like 2 or less.
Good point.
No.
Well, anyway, yeah, that was my idea to get things started, but solving, let's perhaps pick one of yours next.
So this one's just sort of a personal card. It is a granny, which is what's that? Marks in Time. The 3 for 3 with Diligent 3 Granny in Marks in Time. So the story behind why I love this card and why I think it's a good common, it's just a bad constructed common because it doesn't do anything else, is I pulled 3 in the pre-release. And if I ever got the Diligent off, I basically took the game. Once Granny hits 6, it then hits 9, and then your opponent just can't do anything about it unless they have the removal. And because it's limited, the removal is lacking. And yeah, I think it's a really strong common. And the only issue it has with constructed is the fact that just Diligent is not going to be good enough constructed, but I still think it's really strong as a card on its own. I love it.
Wait, quick second.
I just don't think I can anything to add.
Oh,
There we go.
yeah.
But yeah, like I've played Draft quite a bit before Sequestria, and she definitely saved me some games. Like yeah, as you said, once you win a face-off with her, it surely can carry you the game unless your opponent has removal.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time, honestly, being okay. That sounds really weird to say it, but like we've seen a lot of vanilla Diligent cards that are just very unimpressive in these fast few sets, but Diligent 3 is a huge trigger. That is, that doubles the power of the card the first time, and keeps going after that. But like, I don't even think how many other cards even have Diligent 3?
Let me go check the magical power of. Where is it? There it is. Royal Archive.
Yeah, the fact that we
Search.
can't think of a result right away, I don't think there are any others.
Yeah, I think there's an event that gives you Diligent 3, but I'll...
The Rainbow Connection gives Diligent 3.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just Granny Smith.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's pretty serious power for our three. We haven't had, I guess, a deck that really appreciates the ability yet. Nothing wrong with the card.
Yeah.
But I think that's because like Constructor has a lot of removal, so Diligent isn't that useful on the friend.
Perhaps.
Unless it's immune in some way, or you're like, I can give the counters to something else and make it less risky, and all those other things that there's kind of been.
Yeah, like it's true that once upon a time we had Appaloosa, which would say when this triggers once, then it's basically fine. But these days, even then, pink do so many things to it.
Yeah.
So, hit rock.
Okay, I guess my next card will be like the first one by one number, Flitter Flutterer. I really like Flitter Flutterer. Her text is like, she's a pink entry. She's one of those cards which is immediate banish this card to reduce not confront requirements, but play requirements by 2 pink. And she also has a mass removal, which is kind of rare in MLPCG, I think. Like there's not that well much of a cards that can mass remove friends. And she removes all friends with 1 or less power, printed power. And that gets rid of all unicorn tokens that bodyguards might make, or creature tokens that are used in Thorax decks, or covers to covers. Like, I don't know, Flitter is pretty good. I've been running her in my deck, and she definitely saved me a couple of games against bodyguards, especially.
That's the obvious thing that jumps out about the card right away. It's like, oh, all these tokens that my opponent has, especially unicorns that are being incredibly annoying.
Yeah, and she also gets rid of non-unicorns too. Like, it's a printed power, so Spike Festival Assistance gets hit even if he has like 10 power or anything. Or there's also Sorin, which is we can see him quite often, I think. Like it was in Hot Wings and in Pyguard.
Yep.
And there are like a lot of other cards that are 1 or less power and are useful to remove.
Yeah, I saw you mentioned Shoeshine in your annotation as well. That's a classic. Well, you don't see it maybe too often in Constructed, but or maybe I don't, but it can be an. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I saw Shoeshine in Coco.
Oh, all right.
And yeah.
And it's annoying, right?
Well, not when you have Flitter, and I had Flitter.
Oh, well, there you go. Oh. Yeah, removal on a common is also. I want to say that's not particularly common or usual. It's not intentional.
Yeah, it's not frequent, is probably the best way to say it. Like, unless it's an event designed for limited, usually your pink friends have like eccentric, or these are the sort of kind of relevant, kind of cute, but not incredible keywords. But yeah, Flitter just being able to be like, I dismiss that, and this, and that. Like, on such a big scale as well, because it's obviously not just... It's not like it's target friend. Well, I say target, this game doesn't really use the term target. But yeah, it's not like it just gets rid of one thing. It can just, like, sweep an entire problem if you need it to, or anything like that, which is really surprising for a common.
Yeah, and sure, it has that restriction, but as it says, there's actually a lot of friends that hit that. Like even back in the day of High Magic, cover to cover was a card you'd appreciate getting rid of when it was out. For sure. Once upon a time, I even considered, what was that Carolot Nice card? Very startling. Dismiss all friends with 0 printed power, just because cover to cover was a card.
I forgot that existed.
As did everyone, I expect. It was perfectly useless in the Premier block.
Yeah, that's fair.
unless there were a lot of prezies at some point. Anyway, I guess it's my turn again. So top of my list, next up is Apple Bloom Remarkable from Equestrian Odysseys. That 1 cost, 1 rec, 1 orange power friend. Cost reduction in orange. We have like Wonderbolt Stadium does something similar if you're willing to play orange blue, but as a starting card for an orange deck that wants to play friends, which admittedly is not many orange decks these days, but sometimes it happens, then everyone knows that cost reduction is great, right? Especially since orange often wants to pitch stuff into its discard pile too.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the cards only like technically got better as time goes on, because orange has all these sort of, well, if you have a card in discard, you can banish it and do this. And so probably the best example is Zap Apples.
Yep.
And so it's like not only you getting to sort of play cards for less, you also then sort of can fuel other things, which was a very prominent thing when I played block 2 for a while.
Mhm.
There was lots of decks that was just like blue, orange, aggro, and it's like Apple Bloom, make Zap Apples cost 0, and it's just like,
Mhm.
and it was just like, okay, you're getting loads of power like that, and yeah.
Yeah, it's also a good point to bring up that this is discount on general cards, not just on friends like we used to see with Cloud Chaser back in the day.
Just -1.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And it's not got the awkward wording they've started to put on some things, which is to a minimum of 1, which is also really nice.
Mm-hmm. So far,
So yeah,
it hasn't been combo bait yet, which, I mean, it exhausts itself, so it probably shouldn't be.
I mean, it honestly feels just like sort of factory jack type card rather than combo bait.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that sounds about right.
Because it is kind of like discard a card, make an action token, but you actually have to play a card to get that action token.
All right. How about you next?
In fact, a card I just thought of thanks to the Apple Bloom, because it does synergize with it a little, I guess, is Smart Cookie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a card that I've been running since it came out. It's just a 2 for 2 with 1 requirement, but that immediate effect is game stealing sometimes.
Smart Cookie was in Marks, right? Sorry.
Yes, Marks. That's when they did the whole
The founder cycle. That's
the
right.
play cycle or whatever.
Yeah.
People want to call it.
Yeah, Smart Cookie is, again, also uncommon, and it's pretty well, as you say, with this idea of, yeah, I'm going to throw stuff in my discard pile, and then I'm going to use it later.
Like, there's not a lot else to say about it, honestly. We could move on from there. Yeah, like the simplest things I can say is that it can be just ridiculously explosive and just do things out of nowhere, because you can be like, oh man, is it late game? I'm gonna go to try and win because I can confront this easily and confront that easily and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. It well, Smart Cookie to a lesser degree. Zap Apples, as you say, was kind of the progenitor, but it's
Yeah.
still the card that makes you that makes you think to yourself, you're playing against your opponent, you're going in a face-off, you're like, hang on a second, how many cards do you have in your discard pile? That's a lot. I'm probably not going to win this face-off anytime soon. And it's worth noting, interestingly enough, that that's a till the end of turn thing. I mean, I haven't seen anyone do anything stupid. I'm not sure if you...
Well, I think the silliest thing I've done is gone, I will beat this troublemaker with Smart Cookie by banishing, I don't know, was it 5 cards? And then I'll confront.
Mhm.
And it was like...
Yeah, that works.
But yeah, other than that, it's like, yeah. So, next card, Keith.
Next up, yep, Ithrock.
Let's do Zikora, because she's next on my list.
Sure.
The Forest Shaman.
Of course. The other section of Purple's anti-farm, as it were.
Yeah, and it's also a card which gives you entry,
Mhm.
the same way that Fleeter does, by banishing itself.
Yeah, I saw a lot of these banishing cards on our lists.
It's because all of them are good. Pretty much. I'm trying to think, like, is it the yellow one that's not good?
Yellow one is that... I'm trying to remember. Is that Nurse Redheart?
Let's see. Yeah, Nurse Redheart. It's a 3/2 that when it enters, each opponent loses 1 action token. So it's kind of underwhelming. And the blue one isn't bad, but it's just a 2/2 with Swift.
Yeah. And Orange Brayburn.
I actually like Brayburn. It's a meta game thing, and right now he's not that great.
Yeah.
Because he's a 1/2, which is never going to be bad. He's obviously got the effect, but when he enters, you unfrighten a friend, and right now that's not that relevant.
True.
Yeah. So, Zikora. Well, yeah, as you said, Cursed is just an anti-farming for purple, and she's a common, and she's a great card against farming. And she gives purple. I don't have much to say about her, but I think she's a good card.
Oh yeah, she's... it's worth pointing out that anti-farming is also, to an extent, anti-aggro these days. Thorax is a card after all, and his deck tends not to appreciate when he can't be in face-offs.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, a few of these... I think that I had Fancy Pants on my list as well as a card from that cycle, which works as well. And oh yeah, I have Smart Cookie on here too, so that works. So yeah, well, next up for me. Sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say, should we get all of them out the way and talk about Fancy Pants just quickly?
Sure, that's probably a good point. Yeah. Yeah, Fancy Pants is
good enough to have required cards to get errata.
Well, that's a good point. That is a good way to say it, isn't it?
For one, yeah. So there was obviously when he got released with the Discord, there was, I can just draw my deck, being a thing with him. But he got changed. He got fixed.
Well, it was Discord.
And now he's just a good value card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I say he got. It's a generalized. I guess I should have said it got fixed.
It got fixed. Yeah. Yeah.
But now he's just a generally good value card, as there's lots of just good 2-cost or less friends.
Name me a color
in the game
doesn't have good 2-cost or less. Well, I mean, they all have at least good-ish 2-cost or less friends now. They're in Sequestria, and we have the entry cycle. I mean, Orange perhaps doesn't appreciate it as much, but Applejack is sad in that regard.
I mean, there's still probably something that you can get.
Oh, there's definitely something in Orange.
It gets you the Sweetie Belle in Orange White that everyone was raving about, and it didn't really do anything.
Yeah. I mean, she's not a bad card. She's just...
No, she's not bad. She just doesn't fit in anything
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
or anywhere. Because while it's not a bad effect, there's not a deck that's like making use of that properly in any way and like using it to make advantage, etc. So it's just meh.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Still great and limited.
Oh my gosh, it was so annoying.
Totally
I
possible.
played against a guy who had 2 and drew both of them.
And
I had no cards in my deck at the end of the game.
Yep. That's what you do. That is what you do. Okay.
All right, so what was next on your list anyway, with that out of the way?
No, that's fine. Let me see here. Next up on my list, I'm going to go with... have him here somewhere. It's going to be Changeling Citizens. Just looking for the... Oh, right. Those came before the events. Okay. Yes. Defenders of Equestria, Changing Citizens, 0 power, 3 cost. Another card that gets hit by Flitter, actually, funnily enough, as we mentioned. But, you know, I think I was playing a match a little while ago. This past week. Actually, it was my Coco match this week, I think, where I managed to play a 20 power Changeling Citizens.
It's not very good.
Yeah.
Have many tokens?
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, it was versus farming, so it wasn't as immediately impactful as necessarily could have been. But that villain did die the next turn. Worth pointing out. But yeah, it's that ability to be able to do that. And sure, that's an outlier case, but it's not at all uncommon to play this for 8 or 9 or something like that. And in a world where day shift is a thing, you get rid of less things to your home limit. If you play this in like a Scudlu deck, for example, that's another classic example where you're going to have more stuff left over after your DFO, and your Changeling Citizens is going to stay at 6 or 7 or whatever, and you're going to confront again next turn.
Yeah.
And it's generic colors, which is great. And for those occasions where it matters, it's got that experience too.
Yeah, I do like the experience on it. It's kind of adorable.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have to kind of hate the card because it's like, you read it and I'm like, oh, that's great. It's a shame that Flutter Holly is also a card that I'm supposed to really like, and this is just kind of...
Yeah. I'm sorry for you there.
It's just like my bias doesn't work. Because I'd be spamming, Flutter Holly is a great common if Changeling Citizens didn't get printed.
Yeah, it's very true. It's weird that you're pretty right. Well, sorry, Flutter Holly is +1 for each character at home, right?
+1 for each character at home and has 1 power initially, is a 3 cost and 2 requirement. And I memorize these things because I'm weird.
Well, it was your card, right?
I'm biased.
Yeah. So yeah, they fill similar niches, but, well, as you said, Changing Citizens are just kind of better.
Changing Citizens, making 2 critter tokens is just a strict +4. Whereas with Flutter Holly, you can either have them at the problem and just have 2 extra friends there, or put them at home and get a +2 on your friend.
Mm-hmm.
I want to mention that sometimes it's like, I often found myself be surprised how much power do they have, even with like a little amount of characters. Like, even if you have like a couple of friends at the problem, like a main character at home, like usually just pay like 3 AT for 5 or something power, even if you don't play around tokens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's almost never a bad idea to play Changing Citizens. And I'm sure you're playing against some pink deck and you've only got your main. Okay, fair enough. Then it's not good. But it is so easy to have
Don't make Changing Citizens your first play.
Good point. But yeah, it is so easy for it to be a 3 or even a 4, and a 4 for 3 is already good enough, especially if it's going to be fixing into your other color.
Yeah.
Okay, solving. You're up next.
Okay. Oh gosh. All your lists had my cards on, and because obviously I've been in work, I couldn't share it early enough. So
Well, you can pick
I'm
one
just
you
gonna go
like.
for not Spike, but it kind of filled that slot back in the day with Starlight Glimmer, Snowfall Frost.
Right.
Or should I just say Starlight Glimmer Scrooge?
I mean, sure. Same thing.
Because yeah, it has a similar feel to Spike, but Spike kind of just has outclassed it now, I'm pretty sure. But oh my gosh, just in terms of card design, it's like it's a 1-for-1 with Back Where You Began attached to it. Also, just a bit of icing. It has experienced, so if you're like just cycling through copies, it turns into a 1-for-2 and a 1-for-3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The sort of decision between this card and say Magical Pony that's going on right now is kind of strange because in general they kind of do the same thing. It's a weird balance. Like obviously Magical Pony has no entry, it has no requirement. This card has 3, but this card. Sorry, go ahead.
But like Magical Pony needs you to have something else that's purple, whereas this you just need the 3 requirement. And,
Yeah.
So they're still sort of filling the same slot.
And they both average out to 2 power if you play them all over the course of the game. Only this card's curve goes 1, 2, 3, so it's better late, rather than Magical Pony is just always 2. It's interesting. Well, these days you generally do go to Twilight just because entry's good, but it's always a decision.
Yeah. One of my favorite plays with her is move opposing Night Glider from home to a problem and then steal it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And there's always the possibility as well. When you're playing some kind of purple aggro deck and you want to force a single face off, that's great too. I've done great things by forcing opponents' mains with sticks, basically just up to a problem and say, okay, well, you confront that problem easily. And now we can have our face off. Okay. Next up for you, Hithro?
Well, let's talk about Starlight Glimmer again. Exposed inequality.
Right.
The troublemaker which moves a character when it's uncovers. And basically you pay for troublemaker 1 ET, so it's basically move a character for 1 ET, but it's delayed 1 turn. But it's good enough. Like it's pretty good in farming decks. Like I think many of the farming decks right now are running her. But I also think she can find its place like in an aggro deck, because moving character is nice for an aggro deck.
Mm-hmm.
And she also has 0 points, so you're not giving anything to your opponent, only problems.
Yeah, very true. It's weird because it's a troublemaker that often functions to do something other than what troublemakers normally do, right? We think of troublemakers normally as, okay, you play that to block the problem for a little while, but this one works oftentimes just to move a thing, right? And that's cool.
I mean, there's the odd times where I've played it and it's like, oh, hey, I moved this, solved, and then the next turn I did a double face-off and my opponent couldn't do it themselves because she was there.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes, yeah.
So, like, it's got all these little... It's got a lot of small things that sort of stack up to just make it really nice. Even if kind of at its core, it's slow swift.
Kind of, yeah.
Next card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just getting it up here. So, a little unfortunate. I've got Berry Punch and Orange Swirl here. I know that this one really needs to go in a set because Berry Punch and Orange Swirl and Belly Flop, both commons, both, like, you may as well have called them one card back in Defenders of Equestria. They were almost always played together. Yeah, the most, one of the most impactful commons from that meta when it was first printed. Just creates the opportunity for some amazingly efficient removal, getting rid of 2 of anything of your opponent's stuff for only 2 AT and 2 cards, but that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and you can also exploit the stealing, like using an ability or something, like on opponent's friends.
Yeah. I had some unfortunate games a little while ago where, that's okay. Well, okay. Notably, this one's only till end of score phase, but till end of score phase still works. Where your opponent is playing Day Shift or something. Well, I was playing Day Shift and I had it used against me like twice, just from take that, do the DFO, have it till end of score phase. I'll just move, and then okay, you can have it again, or more generally, now we do the belly flop. Yeah, there are some excellent things you can do with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, next one from me is Octavia Carola. Another sort of personal pick because I've liked effect like this in the beginning, but the fact that it's a base 2 for 2, and it has the trigger to reveal and play a resource for free, in and of itself feels like it should be at least uncommon because of the inherent value you can get from a trigger like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you just, I don't know, play any of the few cards that have Meticulous 2 now.
I mean, yeah, that's a really good point.
Oh, is that? I don't know. What's a good resource? Let's go for the traditional one. Magic Wings and something else. I'm going to draw something else and then play Octavia.
Yeah.
And it's just like things like that. If top of deck manipulation gets at all good and we get any particularly great resource, Octavia can suddenly just be like, cool, I'll cheat this. Cool, I'll cheat this. And yeah.
Yeah, it's worth noting.
One
That's
of those cards that feels like it has a lot of potential.
Yeah, but that's put into play, not play for free. So you can ignore requirements. Actually, and it's resources as well, not just accessories. So
Yep, just resources.
here I am playing purple-white, and I'm suddenly just going to throw Desert Road down, because why not?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there's Desert Road, there's the orange resource that makes rocks at your end step. Getting that for 2 action tokens, as well as already getting the 2 for 2 seems pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I might
I
want
also want to point out that you can portal her, so
Yes,
you can reuse her effect.
It's an enter trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah.
Yeah, you might have just actually given me a new idea for something I want to try now. I will see how well it does, but definitely something worth checking out. It's Rock. Your turn again.
All right. Let me see. Well, let's talk about Pinkie Pie Holiday Spirit.
Stay on Defenders of Equestria.
Yeah.
So you mean the debatably best pink entry, like, ever?
Yeah, that's, in my opinion, it's not debatedly best pink entry. Well, if we discount like multicolor entry, like seeing barrel motivational speech, which might be better in some situations. But Holiday Spirit is really great. Like, without her ability, she's just 2 for 2. which is okay. But her ability is pretty strong because many of the times you have more friends than your opponent, especially in early game, when you can just play her on first turn and have 4 power. And since a lot of people run trading traditions right now, she can just confront it on first turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really great way to punish that problem. And yeah, if you're playing like a main like Skystar, for example, as well, it's like virtually guaranteed that you'll get that +2 power. So supposing you like flip Skystar first and then play Piggy Fight, that's a virtually guaranteed DFO unless they're running something ridiculous on their side.
I'll have you find if they're running Winter Startup or
Okay.
whatever that 8-10 one is, you can't do that.
It's a good point.
I'll have you find if they're doing that play that nobody does.
Okay. Well, another one that was an inspiration of sorts from Sequester and Beyond is Brian, who, well, common cards with text on them, with lots of text on them, with this much text on them, tend to be pretty good. You got the resource dismissal on the main phase. You've got that protection, which is something that if Bugle's watching, I should remember exists. Played a couple practice matches against him and completely forgot about that saving trigger every time. So, pro tip: remember that Brian has a trigger. But yeah, that's useful, and that chaos ability is pretty awesome too, since to some extent it makes him a little bit immune to napcakes. Napcakes him, and he just back in play again. Problem there. And there is something nice about the, to a degree, inevitability. Like, over the course of a game, you're either going to draw Brian or you're going to flip him. And in either case, you're going to get to use him. So that's nice.
Yeah. The only thing that would have made him even better is just adding immediates instead of main phase. That would have been hilarious.
Well, immediate would have been real nice, yeah. If yellow didn't have enough ways to get rid of immediate already.
Well, while we're at it, maybe add an also frighten protection, because why not?
That's a good point, yeah.
Why not just, if your opponent would do anything, you may retire this card.
I'm going to gain my action tokens. No, you're not. By the way, good to see you there, Fairy Cards, in the chat. Appreciate the view. Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah. Using that with Vicious Vengeance and then keeping something at the problem. It's actually pretty good because it's worth pointing out that, again, unlike many yellow cards, Brian does not specifically say your opponent has to be doing the bad thing that you're trying to stop. And so, yeah, you can use it off of one of your own move triggers if you necessarily want to.
Also, one of the few cards that protect against moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about. I mean, I guess what would do it?
Petrified?
Petrified. Well, Petrified protects against movement, yeah, but like Flurry Heart kind of does, I guess.
Randomness.
One way of saying it. But yeah, solving.
My next card is that, yeah?
I think.
Okay. This is the last one that just wasn't on your lists when I got round to finally sort of adding things, and that's just Fluttershy Nurturing Nature for still being like one of the best yellow mains. Because my gosh, until Defenders hit, yellow was just crying when it came to core, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the block, I guess it was at that point.
It wasn't, a thing just yet, but sure.
I still also love its adorable interaction with Double Diamond to make it so she goes to 6 power and it's just like, way.
Mm-hmm. Runs everything.
So the
yeah,
stick-
there's not a lot to say, just because it's a good yellow main.
Sorry, Hithrock, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I have quite a few things to say about her. Like, I really like this main, but I'm not sure why I didn't include her on my list. But I guess I forgot about her. But actually played her in my Sonic deck. I'm not sure if any one of you seen it. But the thing is, like, if you can easily bump up her power, you can just confront problems without an issue for free. And most of the time when I played her, I'm like, okay, I just confront this problem doing nothing else and skip my turn without even paying AT.
Mm-hmm.
So she's really good at preserving AT, especially when you have like something like Stick or Double Diamond.
Yeah, actually, as Furry points out in the chat as well, is she's part of this strange synergy thing that Yellow has going on with cards that work with problems but not with face-offs, and then you throw down your Novo Ultra Rare and say, yes, I confronted everything, but I'm not actually contributing any power to this face-off, so I'm definitely going to lose.
Yeah, but to be fair, especially in yellow-white, you have a lot of cards that score points for you. So like usually like yellow-white deck like this, using this main, will lose face-offs, but still have a lot of points from all these additional things like Kratos or Trihorn Bunny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great point. Yeah, I actually hadn't really thought of that before, but Yellow and White really do have that. Confront a problem and then not do the face-off thing. There's actually a lot in there. Think about it. Not just give me a piece of paper and write down another little deck idea I want to work on now. Okay.
So yeah, that is the end of my colored list that wasn't just in your guys' stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
So you can
So
pick
leave me
any
out
of
from
ours.
now.
You can. I mean, there's certainly going to be comments that we haven't covered yet, which we all agree on. So
Yeah. I guess I'll just go through yours and go, yes, I agree with this. Just
sure. Well, Hithrock, your turn.
Concerning Cutie Mark will be my next one.
Right.
Sticking to defenders.
Sticking to defenders. Well, that's good because I have all these. Anyway,
So,
go ahead. Yeah.
concerning Cutie Mark is one of the like lowest confront requirement problems, which doesn't require 2 colors to confront. Like, sure, we have in Harmony, we have cloud bursting and things like that, but I think it was the first one that required just wild color. And that's really good. Like many aggro decks run it because it's such a low to confront and has -1. So you can easily confront, but your opponent can easily confront it too. But why I really like this card myself, because it makes it really easy to flip mains which require which flip when you confront a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say. I remember when this card first came out, everyone was saying, "Well, this is like the card that allows aggro to keep working," and it certainly has become that with Scootaloo being a card, with defenders especially being the entire you must confront a problem to flip your main over set. Yeah, and it's certainly continued. Even though we have Searching High and Low now in Sequester and Beyond, you still see this one a lot, just because, well, Skystar is a main.
The lack of bonus.
That too.
It's also
yeah.
the lack of bonus.
Yeah.
We can get back a little.
I also want to point out that Nurturing Nature can confront it for free.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
Okay, I guess that's me next, isn't it? Well, I'm looking at the bottom of my list here, or rather just where we are in the list, and gotta be, where is it? There it is, that's the card. The card that I underestimated so terribly badly when we were doing spoilers, this Party Mare, Sequestria and Beyond, the random move Traveler one. Still smart to some extent from having really said when I first saw the card, it's like, yeah, I don't think it's that good. No, it's kind of a card that needs to go away very quickly when your opponent plays it.
Yeah. Like, it's just so much incidental power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost well, okay, I don't want to say almost certainly, because it is 50-50 after it moves once, if it's going to move again. But I guess the lesson here is that actually, if you had a pink card that was like at the end of at the start of your turn, flip a coin, and if you get ahead, put a +1 power counter on this card, that would be pretty good. And I guess when I say it that way, that does sound pretty good.
Yeah, like, it's just simple but good. And if you're able to confront and cause face-offs, you're actually guaranteed the power boost because it says problem, which is something I missed when I first read it.
Yeah. If opponent doesn't manage to remove it quickly, like and there's 2 of them or something, they like power up pretty quickly, and then you just do a DFO every turn, and they go back home, and then they move again and repeat.
And repeat, indeed. Well, next.
Gonna go with Aloe.
Aloe, excellent choice.
Because, yeah, Aloe.
Yeah.
Another card that I don't know how much you can really say about because it is kind of obvious why it's good.
All I want to say it's like while it is an entry card, it's kind of a bad entry card
To some
because
extent.
it doesn't give you enough white.
Yeah, it's a good point. But I see the card pop up like in all kinds of places where it's not necessarily useful as entry. It's quite nice for confront flip mains who just need to like, you know, if you've got say Scootaloo and you're looking at concerning cutie mark, this is a card that'll just move Scootaloo, play Aloe, flip Scootaloo, problem solved.
Yeah, I also like. I have a friend who plays mono blue, but since this got printed, he's technically playing blue white because it's just play 3 Aloe. Why not? Like, and he's like, yeah, like we keep getting new cards for it. And it's like I just can't really justify taking out the Aloes at this point. They're just simple value, and yeah, it's because they like Bluna too much, and the interaction of play Aloe, drag, and then choose Bluna, which is really weird to me, but hey, that's how it works, is just cool.
That's how triggers work. Learn it well. But yeah, it's really good. And yeah, as I say, but like, this card, and similar to how you say it, back in Equestrian Odysseys was when it was printed, but you still see it all over the place in people running aggro decks because that 3 power for 1, especially, there's that, and then there's also the ability to put that 2 power on a character that you're a little worried about. Like, so many times a friend comes down and I'm sitting across the table playing purple, and I've got the nap cakes in hand, and I think, oh yeah, I'll save that till score phase, and then it'll be really good. And then, whether it be Ala, whether it be some effect that comes down, oh, friend's now got 4 power. Well, that's less good then. Okay. It's Rob.
Next card.
Next card will be Magical Pony,
Sure.
because I'm playing purple.
I mean, we kind of talked about this card while talking about the Starlight.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Yeah, she's
So it's
quite
like-
similar to Starlight in many ways. But still, she was on my list next, so I just named her.
so it's like, if you want it to be value, you need the purple friend, so it kind of has a purple requirement. But if all else fails, it can just be 2 purple. There.
Totally.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more versatile than Starlight. But Starlight has a lower cost, so there's that.
What cost?
Twilight is, she goes in so many decks. Just right at the start. See a purple main, put a Twilight in, because those 2-for-2 entry cards that do something else are almost always great value. And moving an opponent's character is worth 1 AT if it's done during the main phase, I think. So this is essentially like a 1 cost 2 power friend. And of course, it's not always during the main phase, because Portaler, if you like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do like against farming decks.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me see real quickly. Because it's me next. Okay, so speaking of things we like to do versus farming decks, next up for me will be an Equestrian Odyssey's resource. Right there, maybe you already know what I'm going to say. It's Cardboard Box, which remains Pink's probably best answer to farming. That ability to just take it up and say, hey, your main, or, well, you don't necessarily have to play it on a main, but in general you will. Yeah, it's not going to help anymore.
And also, like, usually, as you said, it is used against mains, especially farming decks, which are usually orange, and orange doesn't have like a lot of resource removal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the best one is Big Eater, and you can respond to it because you're a pink.
Yep.
Just belly flop it or something.
Yep. Big Mac doesn't trigger till end of turn, so you've got at least a couple of priority windows to deal with him in the meantime. And yeah, as you say, Pink, you've got so many different ways to do it. Yeah. And it being a resource as well means, yeah, essentially, as you say, you need specialized tools, which, to be fair, I think people are getting the message about having enough resource removal in their decks these days. But there's still only going to be 3, 4, 5 cards in your opponent's deck, probably, that deal with it.
Yeah. The easy way to know it's good is that it's kind of been a staple since it was printed, and it still is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what am I going to steal off a list next?
I know my list is like 20 cards long, so plenty of material there for you if you want it.
Also, Kevin fitting in.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go with him.
Sure.
I like that card.
Yeah, on the subject of 2 for 2 entry that does something else.
It kinda does, but not really.
Yeah, it's a little strange. Like it is 2 for 2 entry. Its primary value. Well, Singing Braille did exist back then. It's not singing. It's like Singing Braille on a friend, I guess.
Yeah, but friends are more permanent than Singing Barrel because Singing Barrel gives. Well, I think we'll talk about Singing Barrel next.
Yeah, let's save Singing Braille for the inevitable conversation. Okay, just managed to get Kevin up on the screen there. Yeah, I certainly remember a time when I used him a lot for because finding enough entries always a what would I say? Kind of like a
Push and pull.
yeah. It's work I don't like to do all that much, honestly. When I'm building it, it's like, oh, all these cool things. Like, but I need to have like 9 entry cards.
Yeah.
And,
Being like, oh man, I can do all this cool stuff. Oh wait, no, I can't because I can't play any of them.
yeah. And so having
And like, I think my favorite thing about Kevin is his capability to almost be 6 cards.
Mhm. Yeah.
Or maybe even 9 if you're feeling daring and playing 3 color without just doing sort of Singing Barrel type stuff.
yeah.
But like he also almost has this capability to be sort of 2 cards because he's a pink entry and he's a yellow entry and you're pink yellow or whatever. Like so he can sort of fill the slot of 9 cards and then reduce your like need for requirement by a lot because you can just be like, oh hey, I drew a Kevin and one of another color. Whereas in other situations it could be, oh man, I drew 2 of the same color. and things like that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he's also really good in draft.
Yes.
Really good, is right.
My Magic pre-releases were won and lost by, aha, I got a few Kevins and I actually drew them to fix anything and stuff like that.
Well, anyway, to take that transition, like you said, we're going to talk about Singing Barrel next.
Yeah, I think we should talk about motivational speech and Singing Barrel together because they're very similar but have their differences.
Sure, good point.
So, Singing Barrel lets you gain as much colors as you want in one turn.
Mm-hmm.
Just for 180 per. It's kind of like Makeover. It's kind of funny that we have both Makeover and Singing Barrel in one set. While Singing Barrel is kind of better. Like I guess they're playing events synergies out there, but still, I'd say you vastly prefer Singing Barrel to Makeover.
Mm-hmm. I believe this was a card. Well, this and Makeover were the cards that required a small rules adjustment. That back in the day, there was no restriction that you had to choose a color that was actually in the game. So you could very much have your main have as many colors as you wanted to if you so desired. Make her chartreuse and maroon, etc.
That's synergized with Prismatic.
I believe that might have been the reason why the change was made. Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, not that they really needed to do that, because it's not like enabling Prismatic is going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they do something with it again, which I would adore.
Yeah, and actually,
yeah, I also like Prismatic.
Yeah, sorry, this is a tangent to the conversation, but I realized like we haven't had a crystal main, have we?
Nope.
I feel like that might have been a thing that.
I think there's a cadence that on her flip side is crystallized, but I'm not even sure on that myself.
Yeah, like
I might just be thinking of the ultra rare that is a crystallized cadence. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, that seems like something that could have helped Prismatic out a lot. I mean, certainly nowadays, since as we say, Singing Barrel is a thing.
Or just a bunch of 2 for 2s They don't even need to have abilities, but they need to be crystal. Because those 3 for 2s are just bad. So bad.
So bad. But anyway, speaking of Singing Barrel, I'll let you go on, Frog.
In addition to giving colors, it's also a ponytone, which means it has quite some synergy with Torch Song, and it can return ponytones into your hand. So you can return Torch Song into your hand to find soprano and play soprano again and again. So, like, not only it gives you a color, and like it's a great entry card, but it also has synergies with ponytones, which makes it really good in like pink-white decks, and like generally pink decks, I would say.
Yeah.
I guess we may as well lump Torch Song into this discussion as well. That's on our list, right?
Yep. It was on my list as essentially being a way to run more than 3 copies of Singing Barrel in your deck. And it's,
As well as having some utility with some pretty good cards like the Rarity.
yeah. As we saw at BabsCon, Bugle proved to us that you can run as many colors as you want, so long as you have 6 copies of Singing Barrel.
Yeah. But the main downside of the Singing Barrel is that it gives the color only until the end of the turn, which means you won't have that color during your opponent's turn.
Mhm.
So you can't play any immediate effects that require colors.
Yeah.
You have to have something on the board. Which brings me to motivational speech, which is like compared to Singing Barrel, motivational speech gives color while it is on the board. And that means you can have color during your opponent's turn. But unlike Singing Barrel, motivational speech is way easier to remove. Just like any resource removal gets rid of it. But you can't quite as easy get rid of Singing Barrel because you can just return it to your hand, and there's not much you can do against opponent's hand unless you're playing soprano.
Yeah. The Singing Barrel is almost never going to be staying out on the field unless I guess your hand is full and you're absolutely certain your opponent does not have any kind of resource removal.
Or because at that point you've got another 2 in hand.
Yeah, okay. That's a good point too.
Which is also a high possibility. You'll just be like, I'll leave that one there. I don't even care. I'll keep using it if it's there at the end of the turn, but if it's gone and they used a card to get rid of it, who cares?
Yeah, actually, that is like something of a point about Singing Barrel, that you're going to run 3 of it in your deck, and it is entirely possible that you end up with 2 or 3 of them in your hand. It's like, well, only one of these is any good for anything. Not that is enough of a downside to ever make you say, well, maybe I'll only run 2. No, you run 3.
Usually run 1 like as a hard to remove entry.
Oh yeah, or just a singleton as a way to augment other entry strategies that you have. In fact, here I am saying that, and I think I have a deck that I just built with only 2 of them in it. Right. I think it's my turn next, right?
Yeah.
That was yours as well. Sure. Here we go. Well, another card that essentially needed to be on the list. Trading Traditions. Also uncommon. Marks in Time. The card you see absolutely everywhere in Constructed ever since it's been a thing. Yeah. The card that enables so much to exist in Constructed. Suddenly, all these multicolor cards that are one rec in both colors became amazing, viable entry. We saw, obviously, Angel Wings back in the Hot Wings days. I know I like to see Twilight and Rarity in my control decks.
Factory Jack.
Factory Jack, yes, another obvious example. so much that has come to exist, thanks to trading traditions, and thanks, of course, to like the innovativeness of this idea to have a problem that is less for your opponent, but hey, it gives you an amazing ability. That's impressive design boldness, I would say, to take that step and say, hey, let's try it out.
Yeah. And what also makes it even better is new mains, which flip for a cost. So you can have, like, on your first turn, you can have both of your colors at 3 power.
Mm-hmm. All right.
For some reason, it's ridiculous, format defining, not format, game defining, fixing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really become one of those problems which, to some extent, like, if you're not running a confront to flip main, then you do kind of have to say to yourself, well, is there a good reason why I wouldn't run trading traditions? And certainly good reasons exist. There may be other.
I think one of them is because my main is Chrissy.
Yeah, that's a good point. That one works too. Yeah. But it's still a conversation that you do often have with yourself, or at least I often have with myself. Okay. Solving?
Good old Discord captain was I don't know how the last word wants to be said. Discord Legolas. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, just a simple entry for white that has 2 really nice upsides. Like, we mentioned Thorax earlier, and then this one, not only if you have extra copies, can on purpose put itself in the bin, it just, gives you value to keep you doing all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In some sense, it's almost a little strange to have in Defenders, white suddenly gets this impressively valued 2-for-2 entry card. Like, none of the other colors got something like that. Yellow got Thorax as a 2-for-2 experienced, but no, white just really won that cycle.
I think purple had 3 for free with the centric one.
Yes.
I mean, are you sure white won? Pink got Holiday Spirit.
Okay, no, actually, that's a good point. That's a very good point. White was definitely close.
Yeah.
There were winners and losers in that cycle, that's for sure. Okay.
So yeah, like, not a huge amount to say about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's one of those kind of vanilla, excellent value sort of cards. Ythrak?
Well, my list kind of like ended. I only have like cards that are good in limited, but not really good in constructed.
Okay, well, those are fine too. Limited is a thing.
Yeah.
Limited is a thing.
Yeah, limited is a thing. I want to like give an honorable mention here for Shining Armor Soldier in Training, which is, it has quite simple text, but it's so powerful and limited, or at least in my experience. So he's free cost for 4 power, and he has free competitive, which is quite a lot. Basically makes him 7 power for free AT at the face-off.
Yeah.
And if your opponent can't remove it, then they're going to have a really hard time winning any face-offs. Especially if
And
you
they
have
can't
more
get their Granny
than-
Smith off. Ooh.
Yep. I mean, I would say Granny Smith and Shining Armor are like on around the same power level.
Yeah, they have a very similar feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
Oh my gosh, if Granny was a 3 for 4. Oh.
that's starting to push the envelope right there. 3 for 4, Diligent 3. Automatically protected by Appaloosa. Jeez Louise.
Oh my gosh. That puts it on the edge of might have actually got used. Oh, gross.
But yeah, and any card that can contribute 7 power to a face-off is probably in a good spot. But you're right. It's almost a little strange that, well, I guess, like, what was Blue doing back in Marks and Time? That was like when One Punch Man was a thing, right? And well, Thunder Lane was a card. So
Oh, Thunderlane.
probably got eclipsed a little bit by Thunder Lane and constructed.
Yeah. But it was like, because it was common, it's the kind of thing that it was easy to see at a tournament, like at a local level, I would guess, because it's just like, it's just easy to get hold of and it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
A 3-for-4 is never terrible in aggro, and sort of just being able to drop it and go, cool, I go and win this face off. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that ability is real strong. And yeah, like you say, 3-for-4. The 4 rec, well, pulls you back a little bit in draft, but hey, it's coming. And what was play limited in those days? What was the main choice? You were looking at Marks. Oh, well, possibly Scootaloo if they hadn't banned that for your limited. Yeah, we wouldn't have had much of a problem. I suppose you play Odyssey's Dash probably, and then it's just a face-off you need. So yeah.
Yeah. So
well, I'm looking through my list, and yeah, I feel like I've covered all the obvious ones. I mean, we've got a couple of little.
should we lightning round?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. That works.
So you don't even like need to get them up if you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna quickly go through. So one we haven't mentioned. We haven't mentioned Prim, have we?
No, we haven't mentioned Prim yet.
So Prim, the 4-for-2 that can't confront. It's good.
Yeah. It's
fixes forever. Good for face-offs.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really have much else to say.
Sometimes your pawn has a desert road, and then she does confront. Or at least for one turn.
Yeah. Cute.
Yeah. I think we saw that interaction at the stream.
We did see that at BabsCon, yeah.
Yeah.
I have got.
Okay. T-Rex Reign of Terror next.
Mm-hmm.
I saw so much of this for such a long time, and I still hate it.
Everyone saw.
But I still also run it in the odd deck because I like the value.
Yep. Now, never mind that Blue's got like 3 goodish dilemmas right now.
Good dilemmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
T-Rex is still one of the best ones, just because it's still a 5, and writing something on that confront is always a good time.
Removal, even in such a temporary form, is still removal.
Yeah. Industrial Revolution, sticking on the dilemma thing.
Yeah, it's yellow and it just makes dudes.
Mm-hmm. Because yellow appreciates that so much.
If you have 2 of them on Ren Octavia, that can get out of hand really quickly.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Okay.
Rainbow Dash. Loyal Punk.
Yes.
He's next up on my list.
It's the Lyra I hated, but good. Because you just always get it.
Yeah, it's literally Lyra without the restriction.
Or you can see it the other way, like it's still a 2-cost move with 2 power for free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that works too. But yeah, she's very much maybe not the only reason, but one of the big reasons that Blue can work in this meta, basically. That ability to move right away before either Skystar clears your problems off or Tempest blocks your problems with a Troublemaker. Yeah.
And is that everything?
I've got our RMSP up here as well.
Oh yes, RMSP.
Yes.
Because making it so that troublemakers don't uncover is 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Although, I mean, so Squizzard is common too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
think he's a common.
They fill similar spots.
yeah, they definitely do. I almost think sometimes that the reason I use Aramosby instead is just because old habits die hard, and I haven't been willing to give Squizzard a chance. But even so, control decks really like having a problem that's safe. So you can just say, I'm going to put my stuff there and confront, and you're not going to play a villain there. And everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Until you drop a cat or jack or something like that. And then I'm just going to cry. But yeah, that rounds up my list.
Well, I still do have like a couple of cards for limited, like the Smooth, for example. It's like Kevin, but big,
Mhm.
and gives you multiple colors every turn. Well, one color per turn. But really, like in limited, when I draft, I usually find myself like running more than 2 colors because I just don't have enough cards for just 2 colors. And if I drafted Smooth, that's not a problem because I can just play my 2 colors one turn and then play the third color next turn. He has 4 power, so I think there's only one card in the game which requires more than 4 requirement. It's Chaos Capital of the World. Oh no, there are more cards, also elements.
Yes. If we're willing to go back into Harmony, yeah, there's elements. Crystal Games from
Yeah.
Crystal Games. Hang on a second. The card's name is... What's the actual card's name? The
Oh,
Equestrian...
they're like
Either way.
no. The ones I think of is like Pinkie Pie element of Lowther and the similar ones.
Yeah.
They require 6, I think.
6, yeah. But there was that one white resource from Crystal Games. The one that like sits around for a while and then resurrects a whole bunch of stuff. What's the actual name of that card? Sorry, give me a second. I have to look this up.
Equestria Games?
Is it really just the Equestria Games?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Okay. Of course, it's something simple like that. All right.
Hello, I am back.
Hello.
Good to see you.
So I just went on Ponyhead and put in requirement 5. So there's all the elements, like the cycle, that have 6. There's Brayburn, Appaloosan Apple, a common that's a 3 for 2 with 5 orange requirement and supportive 2. Teamwork. Yeah. There's Princess Luna the Setting Moon, that old combo card.
Mm-hmm.
There is Pony Charm.
Right, I forgot about Pony Charm, yeah.
Which has 5. Critter Stampede, which is a card I used to use, which is a 2-cost event that after an opponent plays a friend, you put it back into their hand. And the Equestria Games took a while to load, but it's finally there. And that's it. There is a total of 12 cards, 6 of which are pretty terrible, because I don't think I know anyone to properly run the elements. Well, except for Twilight, because she has way too much potential, but that's why she's banned.
Pinkie Pie has its place in the pile deck.
That's a point, yeah. It's actually a good point.
I saw Grandpa's ran it against me. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, you have any more?
Well, I have Magic Winds and Red Delicious, but there's not much to say about them. They're both 7 power for 480.
Yeah. Talked about Magic Wings a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
It's the
With the Octavia that I like, and I keep intending to try and build around.
the quintessential I need to find some way to cheat this card out kind of card. I'm never going to play this. Or maybe I'm probably never going to play this, but I'm going to do everything I can to get it into play regardless. But yeah, that takes us to I think we've covered pretty much everything we need to cover.
Yeah, turns out there are lots of good comments.
Yeah. And I know Bugle
Yes.
complained about it when I first announced the stream, that we're only talking about commons and not uncommons. I suppose we'll probably have to do that at some point in the future. But there's so many more uncommons because there's all those multicolor uncommons from these
Oh,
past few sets. So,
like, the list would be stupid.
yeah. We'll just have to be more
Maybe-
discerning, I guess.
Yeah, maybe let's talk about rares then.
Oh boy, well, yeah. I mean, while we're at it, let's go through all the rarities.
Let's just talk about good cards.
But yeah, something to think about for the future. So, anyway, I think that will probably wrap us up for today's stream. As you see up on stream there, our next stream is going to be in the month of May 13th. I believe that's the week before Everfree. So we might talk a little bit about some expectations for what to see at that convention. Or, as I say, we might get onto the uncommons. We'll see. All of our videos do get archived to YouTube, of course, so if you could only be here for a piece of it, or you missed it, or you have a friend who wants to see what we were talking about, I'm not going to say what our channel URL is because it's ridiculous and stupid, but it's on screen if you want to save that. But
just press print screen.
yes, that's the way to do it.
That's how you do it.
Okay, but I believe that's everything that I wanted to say.
Yep.
Hithrock, I believe this is a fine time for you to advertise any of your own stuff.
I do have my own stuff. I'm not aware of that.
Well, I mean, you've got your drafts that run every week.
Oh, well, yeah, but like this week, it was kind of a failure because only one person signed up,
I
and
see.
it was my friend, which you played with.
Okay,
before.
that's a good point. Well, next week I'll be available at least.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good point. For people who don't know, so I think I advertised it everywhere I could have, except Reddit, because tabletop programs are not available on Reddit.
Yeah.
Well, we are taboo there. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm organizing every Saturday on 21:30 UTC an online draft, and that's pretty much everything I do.
So anyway, until next time. Well, first of all, I should say, by the way, thank you very much for joining us, Hithrock. And as always, to you as well, Solving. Appreciate the time.
Don't worry about it.
Yep. And until next time, I've been Cursive Chords.
I've been solving problems.
And Hithrock.
And we'll see you in a fortnight.
See ya.